Hi, Michelle, Ro, and Lakeisha. My name is Jeff Wheatley, and I'm with Remax. And the reason I'm cutting this video right now is because I saw your mom a couple weeks ago. Now, the reason I saw her is I'm not only a realtor, I'm also an investor. And she had reached out based on some marketing that I did uh, for folks that need to sell their home fast. Now, when I came out to the property, I quickly identified that off-market cash type of a scenario was not going to be the best for Michelle. And Michelle, I'm sure you'd agree. I kind of laid out why that wouldn't be the best for you. An offer like that would probably bring somewhere right around the $200,000 mark total for your property. Whereas I want to actually take this property, list it, and run it up and get the most amount of money for you because you've got it in really great shape. And I just want to make sure that we get every single penny out of the property that we can for you. And I know as a single mother who works really hard, you're going to appreciate getting every single penny out of the property. So again, my objective there is getting everything out. I want to run your property up to be the highest sale ever in the neighborhood. And we do this through staging the property for the max amount of sales price. And then we have a launch process that creates anticipation in the market before we ever turn it live. Now, where did I learn this from? I simply copied it from the best. I looked at Steve Jobs, studied everything that he does to launch a property. In his case, launch the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, which we don't even see this. He launched all those in a very specific way, which built up a lot of anticipation and then eventually let everybody through the door all at one time. So the prices were met, and then there was lines and there was a backlog of supply. We can't do exactly that with your home, but what we can do is create an auction effect where we're going to run it up over the course of a long weekend and get the absolute most amount of money for that property. Now, I'm actually going to reference one of the places where we recently did that. It's 12827 in Lehman Lane, up in Waldorf, and we got that property sold for $550,000. But the great news, it was more than $100,000 more than any property ever sold in that neighborhood, and we had 5 other properties that had sold within the last year. So $100,000 better than the next property. Now, the next thing we want to do is make sure that not only are we selling it for those, and on your property, everything's relative to the sales price. So we're at 250 general marketplace. We want to run it up to 260 or more. Really make sure that we're getting all the money out of that property. The next thing we want to make sure is when somebody pays that amount of money, we want to make sure that they're not going to have buyer's remorse, or if they do have buyer's remorse, it's not going to be at your expense. And so what we do is we have a strategy to make sure that the inspections are done prior. We do pre-inspections. We encourage the buyer's agents, that is, to do pre-inspections on it. And what that allows for is them to already have a little bit of skin in the game. A pre-inspection costs anywhere from $200 to $250 to $300, and they don't even know that they're going to get the property. So I'll give you an example. We just had a property, 10017 Lizzie. Now, we had 3 people of our 15 offers do pre-inspections, and one of those won it. But when they won it, they came through, paid the most amount of money, and they weren't asking for inspections. So if once we ratified the contract, meaning we all agreed to it, if they got cold feet, they couldn't use that to get out of. So that's one of the things we want to do to bulletproof your transaction and make sure nobody gets cold feet on you and you have to put the house back on the market. So our objective is not only get the most amount of money, but to remove all the risks from the transaction. The other way that we're able to get that done is having what's called an inspection waiver, an appraisal waiver, or them to guarantee $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of the appraisal. So that's happening many times. Our most extreme case recently, last week, we put a property over on Hawks View pending. They not only waived the appraisal, they brought in cash, paid 100% cash for it. They were absolute highest and best bidder by $20,000. And they closed in 14 days because it was cash. So it really gave flexibility. Now, in that case, our sellers wanted to get out and they wanted to get out quickly. But the other thing we could have done, the other thing they offered on that was a free rent back, which may serve you well, Michelle. but they were offered a free rent back of 60 days. Now that could super benefit you in terms of figuring out the exact next place you wanted to go, whether it is rent or buy. You have both of those options. I think we kind of limited, we kind of talked in, it's most likely going to rent for just a little bit as we look to either buy or build, but it gives you options nevertheless. So, um, and then the most important thing, everybody wants to know, what is my net going to be? So we make sure you're protected. I make sure that you're protected in your net, and I offer a flexible commission terms. I call that the 246 program. And what that simply means is if you happen, maybe you're at work or something, you find the absolute best buyer for your home, we'll handle all the paperwork for you just for 2%. Make sure that everything's taken care of on both sides, closing, everything, title work, neat contract that they're not going to be get out of, and just give you that advice all the way through. But we did not procure that buyer. In the event that I procure the buyer myself, we're going to have the 4% commission. So not 6% like is general. I sell it, we're going to have a 4% total commission on that, saving you a couple percent there. Everything I included on the first one would also be included in there. And our final is if we're cooperating with the general public there and another agent brings us offer in, that's our 6% commission rate there. Now, very important, how does this actually work? So we just had a Solomon's Island property that we put together. I took it, so that was a 4%er. And then even more recently, we had yaw meter, so 110 yaw meter. And that property, very similar to yours, it was actually a military construction. It was built by the base for military families to live in. They found their own buyer. We closed that with just the 2%, saving them a little bit of money at closing. So listen, I think I'd love to work with you. I like the property. I like Michelle. I like you a lot. I think we could be good partners for the next 30, 45 days as we go through this property, and would love the opportunity to sell your home. You'll also see an attachment of the documents. That just formalizes everything that we said here. Please don't feel free to give me a call direct if you have any questions. I'm Jeff Wheatley, 240-731-7578. Or you can respond to the email. It's simple enough, jeff@jeffwheatleyhomes.com. I do appreciate you watching. Thank you.